Hi guys, time for another pick a card reading. The topic for this one is going to be, is this a mutual crush or are you experiencing limerence towards the person on your mind? There are three groups to choose from. Group one is the rose quartz. Group two is the amethyst. And group three is the amber. So up next is a close-up photo of the crystals. There are timestamps in the description box of the video, and I'll see everyone in just a minute for group one. Hi group one. You chose the rose quartz. So let's get right into it and see, is this a mutual crush or are you experiencing limerence towards the person on your mind? Okay, so we've got Peace of the Goddess, Inner Peace. The Witch of the Winter Woods, Healing. And Witching Hour Tea, Introspection. So these energies feel to indicate that there is interest of a romantic nature towards you that the person on your mind has. However, this is somebody that might get very nervous in your presence. The idea of expressing that out loud is very intimidating to them at this particular point in time. It may be because they are afraid of rejection, that they could be giving mixed signals, or there's a sense of almost just kind of watching from afar, but not necessarily in an energetic frequency, and it's coming through as yet. It feels like this person isn't just going to want to lurk forever, but at this particular point in time, it's almost like they're comfortable just in observer mode, or it's like a threshold that they can't really go beyond, because they might also still be kind of picking up the pieces from a previous relationship. They're not ready to put themselves out there to get to know someone, to date someone, or they see a lot of potential with you as a person, what they see, what they know so far of I think that we could really get along very well. I think that romance could be a very beautiful thing. But again, this is somebody that is almost kind of having to kind of build their sense of confidence that it's time in their life, they're ready to kind of seize the moment and get back into an experience with another person that could lead to long-term partnership. There's a fear with this person of almost maybe the past repeating itself, it feels like. So this could be somebody that has taken some time to recognize mistakes that they made in a previous connection that kind of led to that connection's downfall. So they may be trying to do things a little bit differently. Moving forward, they might have been I'm the common denominator in all of this unhappiness, romantically speaking. So nothing changes if nothing changes. I've got to be the one to kind of be that change that I am seeking in experiences with others. That may be a little bit of why that there's attraction towards you. The idea of things progressing beyond whatever is the current circumstance, it brings them a lot of peace. It's something that they definitely, with this introspection, they think about that. They thought about what that would be like. And it feels like this is somebody that is trying to, sort of not kind of follow that impulse necessarily towards you at this particular point in time, because this is somebody that feels like they don't want to enter into anything in a very chaotic energy, but it's they want to lead with peace. So maybe peace inside of themselves, or kind of deferring pleasure, not just kind of acting on impulse. If you're friends, or they know you in some other capacity, maybe giving the connection time or more time to kind of develop in that sense, so there's a better foundation to build upon, other things romantic experiences, sexual intimacy, you know, kind of having interactions with one another where it's like we're not just getting to know each other so we can make a new friend, but getting to know one another with kind of the lens or the perspective of, if this works, like between the two of us, if it feels right, if it feels good, this is somebody that, like, with you, they see that you would be that really good, like, long-term relationship material, like that kind of person. You know, and so this is something, again, like they're almost trying to kind of very deliberately take a different approach, because it feels like in the past this person might have just like, they had a crush on someone, they step forward and they say something. You know, they have a crush on someone, they seize the moment, they don't like wait around, they don't wait for opportunities to miss them or pass them by. And so it feels like some of that nervousness is kind of like, they don't know if that's hindering this situation or if it's going to help this situation. So it feels like this is the kind of person that you may catch almost like sneaking a peek at you, kind of like they make eye contact and then they look away real quickly, or you might catch this person like staring at you if you're like out and about in a public place. And it feels to be, you know, that this is not just like the product of your imagination. They definitely are crushing on you, but it's somebody that's almost like choosing for that slow and steady approach in order to make sure that they're kind of just prepared for whatever could unfold between the two of you, but also just to maybe even kind of assure themselves or talk themselves into a place that they're ready to like risk opening their heart up to someone and like risking potential heartbreak. That they're at a place that they're ready for that. Because this also feels like somebody, this is kind of like a peaceful energy. It's a truthful energy. This is somebody that doesn't want to kind of like lead you on. This is somebody that doesn't want to, you know, make a move towards you and then they get cold feet and they're like, oh, never mind, I didn't think I was ready. So it's almost like they're trying to sort of think about that before they speak, before they take some kind of action that makes it very clear to you that like they're ready to date, they're ready to explore romance. So let's get a couple more cards just to see what else you need to know about this. Okay, so we've got fear and words. Yeah, so it feels like this is somebody that's almost like they're making themselves tongue-tied. They're like holding back, speaking that truth. This is like Ace of Swords reversed. Like they've deliberately kind of like stop themselves from making it very clear and direct and known to you, hey, I like you, hey, I got a crush on you, I'm interested in you, you know, however they would phrase that, so that you could start to get to know one another better. Because there's a fear that, what if like past disappointments or past experiences is like a pattern, that there's something that they're supposed to learn from that? Because it feels like this is not somebody that is operating so much as a person out of ego that they're just pointing a finger at like every ex or everything, you know, romantically that fell apart and being like, oh, all those people were crazy, they were toxic, it was all them. They might have had some crazy or toxic people that they were dealing with, but it feels like this is somebody that can also has asked themselves kind of, well, what was my role in that? If it's all these kind of disappointments, it can't just be that it's everybody else and I'm perfect. So like, what, this person spent some time looking in the mirror going like, what is it that I need to kind of learn from this? How is it that I could maybe experience something different by moving different the next time the opportunity for love or romance or dating comes along? Like, what can I do different that might shake up the circumstances a little bit and create the possibility of something other than just repeating cycles? And this feels to be something that this person has like thought about before you came along. And now here you are. And so here's this opportunity to put their money where their mouth is. Like they've been telling themselves kind of like, oh, this butterfly here on top of like the crown chakra in this picture, this is somebody that is kind of like they've had sort of a change in perspective. This is somebody who has taken that time to kind of, again, step beyond just the ego-based instinct to kind of point their finger at other people that they were dealing with romantically, that things didn't work out. This is somebody who might have been bitter for a period of time, but they've like alchemized that in a way to where now that there is this opportunity between the two. There's this chemistry, there's this mutual interest. This is somebody that is like a slower approach, or like making sure that they're like ready inside of themselves to open up to experiences with you, and that it's not based on kind of just like, I see you and I'm acting off of lust, or, you know, I meet you and then very quickly we start dating and then one thing leads to another. Because it feels like this person might have in the past kind of like, they would start talking to someone or start dating and then very quickly would get into a connection. This could be somebody that's like a serial monogamist too, kind of like one relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship, and it was like it all kind of ended up the same way, to where they're holding back, they're hesitating on purpose. There's a sense within that even that approach, like they've not tried this with anyone else. You're the first person that they're like enacting this plan that they'd created within to try and align themselves with better results, romantically speaking. So it's coming from a place inside of them of sort of like, I think that this will be something better or different than how I was moving before and the results that I experienced before, but I won't know for certain until something more happens, or, you know, I've held back very consciously, and then when I finally kind of like speak that truth, or sort of like tiptoe forward to that place of declaration, and if it works, if that's enough to kind of like move towards you, or like towards romance from a place of peace and groundedness, as opposed to like the frenzy or the excitement of kind of like, there's someone really attractive, I better seize the moment so somebody else doesn't come in and kind of swoop this person up. They almost operated out of like desperation in the past, like seeing that attraction, like there's that shiny thing, let me reach over and snatch that up for myself. And so this time it's almost kind of like, they may even have been somebody that sort of has had to like implement that idea of what is meant for me will not pass me by, and what has passed me by was clearly not meant for me. Like that as kind of like a lived philosophy. And so they're deferring to the energy of patience in this situation very consciously. And they know that it's a risk, and they know that it's a gamble, because it may send mixed signals to you, but it also keeps the window of opportunity open where someone else could come in and take a different approach. But this is somebody, it feels like that they're exercising self-love, because they don't want to be like heartbroken again. But this is also somebody that doesn't want to like take an approach to romance, or even to this situation, and kind of just like deny themselves potential experiences out of fear of heartbreak. So they're just kind of like taking like a long route towards what it feels like is a desire to say something, to act upon this crush, but almost kind of like, if it can sustain the pressure of me holding back and this chemistry building between the two of us, then maybe that is something that will create a better likelihood of success or longevity. Like two people kind of like being patient, almost the idea of like, love is patient, love is kind. And so that patience being an element that's sort of established between the two of you immediately, or before anything kind of begins. So let's take a look and see what their potential actions are towards you. Like, how long are they going to sit in this like observer mode? Are they going to do anything? Or are they just kind of going to like lurk? Okay, so we've got Death, Five of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, so this is somebody, it feels like they're going to continue, at least for the time being, to kind of sit in observer mode, sit in lurker mode. There's a sense of almost kind of like fearing if they, like, this is like a new strategy for them. This is a new side of them. They've never embodied this newly minted part of their personality. This is not usually how they have shown up in the past in loving relationships. But this is somebody that was almost, again, like nothing changes if nothing changes. So they're trying something completely new. This is somebody who has invested some amount of time, energy, and attention in like personal growth and development, taking accountability to create the change that they are seeking for themselves in their own life. And so with that is almost a sense of the most they're capable of is like baby steps. It feels like the most that will sort of happen is that staring at you from across the room will become more obvious. If this is somebody who you catch their eye and they look away, their progress forward may be like, no, I'm going to hold that eye contact. They almost kind of like open the door for you to approach. That may be something that could be the best kind of thing that will break the ice between the two of you. Because this is somebody that's very like intimidated and uncertain. Is this peaceful, grounded, not acting immediately on impulse? Is that something that is going to be effective enough to like on their timeline, on their timetable, whenever they kind of feel that need or that urge or like it's time, like they're ready to take that step forward? Is that even something that is going to make any kind of a difference in terms of the potential outcome between the two of you? Or is this something where they've looked at themselves as a common denominator in their heartbreak? They've been looking at it from the wrong angle. Like this is somebody who's kind of like, they're overthinking a lot. This is somebody who, you know, again, is like they've created like a different mindset within, and it's causing them to kind of move in many different ways in their life in a different way than what they were used to. So it feels like this is someone that their comfort zone is just to continue to sit and watch for the time being. But if this is something where you get to the point and you have to follow your own intuition about this, because it feels like this person might be very skittish. Like if you watch this reading and you go reach out to this person tomorrow, they're very likely to kind of just close off inside of themselves. But this could be the kind of thing that it's like, okay, if you ride that wave of patience a little bit more, and somebody who, you know, they catch your eye and then they look away real quickly, when they get to that point of like, okay, then they're catching your eye and they're holding that eye contact, they're maintaining that eye contact. They don't care that you see that they're staring at you. That can be their clue or their indicator. They've reached a place of almost like certainty or confidence in themselves that they would be maybe more receptive to you approaching them. This might not be the situation where if you're looking for sort of like, relatively speaking, quick results or something to progress like somewhat immediately, it feels like this isn't the type of person or circumstances that's going to happen. Maybe it's something where you're patient, you're not in any rush. Good things take time. As this person is kind of like working up the nerve to step towards you as this new version of themselves, like a new state of mind that they've created, maybe that's something that would appeal to you. If you've been in situations where it was just acted on impulse before, things eventually fell apart, maybe this is that approach that might create different results, or at least will give you a different experience of a different kind of person operating in a different way than what you're used to. So you'll have to use your own intuition about like, is this the situation where you're the one that says something first? Is this a situation where you wait for this person to kind of take steps towards you and then another step towards you and another step towards you? It feels like it would be nothing very quick. But sometimes those slow simmer connections make for the best love stories. So this person definitely has a mutual crush on you, and they're not holding back because it's like they just want to sit and hold that energy inside. It feels like this is somebody who's like pushing themselves forward to embody totally the version of them that will be confident that they've kind of done their due diligence to circumnavigate old patterns and old stance and old kind of like mindset that they know in their own life systematically led to disappointment. And if you're willing to wait or can kind of like work with that in a certain extent, whether you're the one that makes the move first or you hold space for this person to kind of, you know, come to you in their own time, it feels like this is a circumstance that could make for something very interesting or possibly even very fulfilling as far as starting to get to know someone, dating, possibly even long-term connection. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got E, G, W, I, A, T, Q, G, P, I, L, N, C, L, and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the Amethyst. So let's see, is this a mutual crush that you are experiencing, or are you in limerence regarding the person on your mind? Okay, we got Beset and Sekhmet, ferocious femininity. Witching Hour T, introspection. And the Morrigan, sovereignty. So it feels like you have awakened this person's animal instincts towards you. The beast within is hungry for you. But that inner urge, in some sort of way, this person almost feels very like self-conscious about how attracted to you they are. And so this feels like somebody that they're like lusting over you big time. This is something where it takes a lot of like self-control to tease at the obvious, to hold back. Because this is the type of person that feels like, once I got my hands on you, I don't think I could keep my hands off of you. This is somebody that almost, they've never been this attracted to someone before. You're very unique. You're very unlike anyone that they've met. This is coming through as like you're their wildest fantasy come to life. You're not too wild, you're not too intense, you're not too much. You're like exactly what this person like has fantasized about. Not just like, oh, the perfect little package in a way that in the light of day, everyone would look around and just be like, oh, doesn't that fit in with this like cookie cutter image of who they should be partnered up with? Or, you know, what kind of like an ordinary or normal relationship would look like. It's like you're the embodiment of that extreme and yet the realistic fantasy of what this person is attracted to. That in some sort of way, it's like they're self-conscious because it's almost like it reveals a side of them that others don't know. It reveals a side of them that it feels like they've always been very kind of quiet about. Not so much because there's been like necessarily shame associated with that, but that it's just been something that they've never encountered anyone that is the embodiment of like that other half. This is somebody that almost feels like, aside from the energy of lust, it's almost kind of like two peas in a pod, sort of. But from the outside, it may look very like a contradiction, like a paradox. You may look like opposites from the surface, but you very much align with this person's like authentic self in the way that you present yourself, the way that you dress, the way that you carry yourself, the image that you portray out into the world. It's got this person drooling. This person fantasizes about you very heavily. And there's a sense of almost like, to take a step towards you. This is somebody that almost feels like they could see themselves going out on like a first date with you. And that would lead to like sleeping together, and it would lead to like you come over and we move in with each other. We're just together then from that point on. Like it's not so much the energy of just like an immediate like act of conquest, but something that it's kind of like once that door is open and we step through it, there'd be no shutting that again. There'd be no stepping away from that again. And this is somebody, it feels like that they're almost kind of like clutching the potential between the two of you for a time when maybe it's like, and they're ready to sort of dive in fully like that. Because even, this is somebody that even like when they fantasize, when they're like thinking about you, it fires up like a side of them that is way more enlivened, enthusiastic, way more passionate than like how they normally carry themselves. And there's a sense of that feels like the best version of them. It doesn't feel like anything, again, like shameful or like, oh, this has to be hidden. But it's something that they almost feel like would redefine their public image. Like they almost feel that it's kind of like they could be so happy on so many levels with you. And that people might have seen them joyous or content. People might have even seen them settle into other connections before out of loneliness or, just convenience or like whatever. But there's a sense of this person almost recognizing that a part of them would come to the surface that wouldn't be so easy to kind of like shut away. Like once they got a taste of that, nothing else would satisfy. And other people would be forced to kind of see them differently, would be forced to like see this person in their authenticity. And there's almost a part of them that is kind of like waiting for the right moment for that to happen. Waiting to kind of like deliver that epiphany to other people. Like, you've seen me content, you've seen me happy, you've seen me even like settling or miserable. This is me when I am exhilarated, when I am ecstatic, when I am with somebody who checks off all the boxes. The ones deep down inside that the rest of the world doesn't know about, or the options in love that they've presented with so far can't even hold a candle to. This is somebody who feels almost like that you physically, your personal magnetism, everything about you, it's like 1,000 times more attractive than anybody they've ever had a chance with in love, anybody that they've ever dated, anybody that they've ever had like a talking stage with, anyone that they've ever been with, anyone that they ever rejected or passed on by. You outshine all those individuals. And so this is something where this person is almost kind of like, they're really crushing on you, but they're also putting this like, it's like a big deal to them. The next step forward is like a really big deal because it feels like it unleashes a part of their personality that just nothing else has been able to awaken. Nobody else has ever kind of resonated that deeply. Even just like the sheer chemistry between the two of you, they've never been affected so much by another person, either in long-term connection or in like a crush situation. So this is somebody that is not like holding back out of fear. This is somebody that is almost kind of like getting ready to like surprise themselves, surprise the world with kind of just like approaching. Feels like this person wants to take the lead. This person loves that ferocious femininity. Yeah, you're empowered, but you also activate this kind of like masculine, action-oriented energy within. Like, allow me, let me be the one to come in. And that's something that it feels like even if they've taken the lead in other situations, you bring forth this like primal aspect of them. They can't even properly like fathom or fantasize what it will be like to have more of a close personal relationship with you, to be intimate with you. It's like they've fantasized a lot about that, but there's something within that's like nothing can prepare them for what that will be like. So this is somebody, it's like you work this person into a lather just by being yourself. You have captivated their attention. And any kind of like, it feels like any sort of like fear of rejection, fear of being out of their element, you being out of their league, all of that, it just kind of evaporates. This energy like, I have to have her. I have to have him. So this is somebody that feels like the intensity between the two of you is building. You may be able to like feel that about this person from afar. This is like a very strong energy. Like this person may have a really good poker face, but they have like some strong urge towards you, a strong attraction towards you that they've not felt before, that they've not felt in a while. Because again, you're this person's like fantasy on many levels come to life. So let's get a few more cards and see what else you need to know about this. Okay, we've got happiness and balance. Yeah, so this is definitely somebody that thinks that, have I found my other half, the yin to my yang? And it feels like this is something that it's very soon, obviously, because, you know, this is a reading about like a crush. So it's very soon to be saying that, but there's something energetically that just tells this person, once you go through that door, there's no turning around, there's no going back. Once you experience more of an up close and personal connection, an intimate connection, a sexual connection, a romantic relationship with somebody like this person specifically, with you, the viewer, it's like nothing else could ever hold a candle to that. Because nothing before could hold a candle to that. It's like, even in this crush energy, whoever this person might have thought of was like, you know, they're the one that got away, or like a lost love, or somebody that they'd like put on a pedestal. Maybe they don't have anybody like that, but at some point in time they were just like, I was so into that person, I would have done anything for them. This, what they're feeling towards you already at this point in time, this energy of desire mixed with something deeper than that. This is somebody that already feels like you could easily exceed the level of importance emotionally and actually in their life than all of those great loves before. That a version of them could be satisfied finally. Romantically, maybe even sexually, in all ways, by somebody like you. Things that people in the past didn't even have the capacity to reach those levels. They didn't stir this up or stimulate this kind of hunger within this person, not like you. This is somebody who, the idea of something more, of creating a next step between the two of you, it fills this person with a lot of happiness, a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement. They're picking their moment is what's coming through here. Because this is somebody that almost feels like the next step is the beginning of like a very great love story. There's something within this person that almost feels like it's essential to experience something more with you. This is somebody that might even be pushing themselves to the point of like it becoming obsessive, and that being when they thrust themselves forward towards you. They're adding fuel to the fire within. They're letting themselves sit and simmer in that energy of just this animal instinct, like, I gotta have this person. This is somebody that is like, they're feeding into that energy of yearning as the more they kind of like hold themselves back, or it might even just be that it's kind of like this urge has come on, and so it's like every time they see you, every time they catch sight of you, it grows. It gnaws at them. That hunger is just like, I gotta say something, I gotta do something. But it's an instinct within to kind of get it to that point where then they can just leap forward. Because whatever can be experienced between the two of you, it feels like this is somebody that senses that it will be the type of experience that will be life-changing. Like they will become someone else in the midst of experiences with you. And then this is also like how other people will then see that. How's that? They've thought about that. Like, how's that going to trickle out into the role that I occupy in my life in other ways? This is a type of person that may not be into like public displays of affection normally. very conservative about that. But they almost like when they look at you, it's kind of like, how could we not have our hands all over each other just out and not care who sees that? Like, this somebody's like, I couldn't resist that. I couldn't resist even just kind of like looking like a fool in love in your presence, out in public, in ways that normally they're kind of like, they only get that look with another person behind closed doors. This is somebody who feels very like gooey at the idea of sort of like all sorts of things happening, passionate romance, sappy romantic experiences, spicy thoughts, very kind of like dreamy thoughts. This person has like the full range of all of that. They feel in some kind of way that like to have more of an experience with you would satisfy things within that have been undefined to them up to this point in time. It's like, where have you been all my life kind of energy. So it's definitely with this balance, these scales, this is a mutual crush. And this is not somebody who's just going to like sit there and pine for you, yearn for you from afar. This is somebody that is like, it feels like they're getting ready to pounce. They're getting ready to be the one that is like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, let's go to dinner. Let's chat. Let's get to know one another. Let's go do something. And once they step through that door, once they offer their hand to you, once they make that invitation, this is somebody that it feels like there's a determination already that has kind of arisen within them. That they're not just wanting to come in closer and kind of just like feel it out or, you know, check it out or something. This is somebody that is like that step towards you, and I don't think I could ever walk away. So let's take a look and see what their potential actions are towards you in regards to this mutual crush. Okay, we got the Devil, the Moon, and the Two of Cups. Yeah, so this is somebody, they are going to give in to that temptation. This is somebody that it's going to really surprise you, it feels like, when this person takes not just like a little baby step closer, but like a big step forward. This is something where this person almost, they're listening to that animal instinct within that is causing them to like lean closer towards you. You might even feel this person leaning in, energetically speaking. This is somebody that doesn't want to hide in the shadows. They don't want to play coy. They don't want to play games. This may be somebody that is kind of like, they're waiting to that point where they can't resist any longer. Like they're not fighting the urge, but it's almost kind of like times in between when they see you, or, you know, if they're indulging in like that, the fantasies a lot. It's like they have to go to work at a certain point. They got to sleep. They got to eat. They got to go hang out with friends. They got to go to school. They got to do other things. There are other things in the material world that take them away from that kind of like fantasy space, from that dream space. Interactions where you have with one another in the material world so far. You both go your separate ways, and so there's all of that like in between time, in between when they'll see you, when they'll catch a, you know, unexpected glance of you. You come along unexpectedly. There may be a lot of that. You just sort of pop up into their reality. This is somebody that is like leaning into that. Leaning into that. When am I going to see you again? When am I going to get that alone time? Like looking forward to those quiet moments by themselves when they can just, there's no limits on that. To fantasize, to feel into the potential. This person might even like feel you energetically. So they're leaning into that. Kind of like, I hope that you feel me thinking about you from afar. Because it's just a taste of what the level of kind of intensity or devotion that it feels like this person wants to bring to the table. This is somebody that wants to like devour you, devour this situation. They're like really attracted to you. And this is not somebody that is going to hesitate. They're just like picking their moment. This is somebody who wants to sweep you off your feet. They don't want to come in nonchalant. They don't want to like make up some excuse and like, oh, hey, I didn't know you'd be here, or hey, I'm just coming forth with like a can you give me some helpful advice, or trying to just like friendly, and then oh my gosh, one thing led to another and now we're making out. No, this is somebody that wants to come forth in like this high powered, that intensity that's building within. They want to unleash that. This is somebody that is like pushing themselves to the point, and it feels like it's getting very near that point of like obsession. And it's at that stage where they break free. They cannot sit in the internal landscape anymore. They can't resist it anymore. So they unchain themselves, and they come towards you. And maybe that, intense action is just kind of like, hey, you want to go grab some coffee? But it puts you two together in an experience with just the two of you, where there's no limits, where you have more of those direct exchanges with one another, where it's that first step towards, okay, let's see where this can go. Because this isn't someone that's trying to just dip their toe in the water. Oh, they need to come in a little closer just to feel this out. This is somebody that's very certain. Again, you check off so many boxes for this person, internally and externally. You're very different than like other people that they've dated or they've had the opportunity to date. And so with that is also the sense, though, that you're a deep wish fulfillment. Like you're their perfect type. You are exactly what they are attracted to, that they never were able to find in anyone else. They were never able to meet someone like this. And now here you are. So this is somebody that's like, I want to take that step towards you. And then another, and then another. And this is somebody that has like long-term intentions, but you got to start with where you are. And so in this case, it feels like this is somebody that is continuing to just kind of build that momentum, hoping that you feel them energetically as like a prelude to speaking on this crush, saying something, doing something. They don't expect you to do that. They want to be the one to kind of like reach out, make it known. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got R, H, T, F, N, F, H, R, K, P, O, U, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the amber. So let's see, is this a mutual crush that you're experiencing with the person on your mind, or is this limerence on your part? Okay, we have Witch of the Winter Woods, healing, home at last, aloneness, and Vasilisa the Wise, intuition. So it feels like this person is emotionally unavailable. And although there may be some degree of kind of like, they find you intriguing, they find you to be like an interesting or noteworthy person, it feels like feelings that you've developed, or even if you're just kind of like, they're attractive, they're cute, and you don't necessarily have feelings yet, it feels like what you're capable of emotionally how you're able to give to connections, what it is that you hope to receive from others, it's very incompatible with the levels that this person operates on. And so there may be something that you're almost kind of picking up on the potential in this person to evolve as a person, like of their own accord in this lifetime. And it might be somebody that, like, at this point in time, it feels that it would almost best be described as like limerence, or a crush that's more intense in terms of the potential of what, if it were acted upon, like what could happen. Not just that you'd hook up, but like what that could lead to in terms of even like a talking stage, or, you know, dating, kind of like emotional exchanges. You're a little more evolved or advanced spiritually or emotionally, or even just through instances of heartbreak that you've had in the past, lessons that you've learned, how you've alchemized that into kind of like healing for yourself, wisdom for yourself, how you've like fine-tuned your standards or raised your standards. It's different from where this person is kind of at in terms of their level of like consciousness, emotional maturity, and evolution, where it might be the kind of thing that like there's interest or attraction at like a very just kind of minuscule or surface level between the two of you. But this might be the type of situation that almost like, this might be somebody that you may just need to kind of encounter or have a glance of at this point. And it may be something that like years down the road, your paths cross again. And this person has kind of like evolved into a version of themselves, or has unlocked something within that might make them able to kind of like see you, potentially exchange with you, receive you on a level that it's almost like they're not capable of yet. This almost brings to, it's bringing to mind like the analogy of like a butterfly in a chrysalis versus like a butterfly that is broken free of its cocoon and is like flying. You're the butterfly out of the cocoon, and this person's still like in their chrysalis in some sort of way. This may be somebody that is still kind of like nursing certain wounds of bitterness that are the result of like past disappointments and heartbreaks, to where they're just like not emotionally available to even really have a crush on someone beyond just like a night of fun, beyond hooking up. So the level of interest or attraction that they have towards you, it's not the same as kind of like, even if you were looking to approach like this situation, or just like romance in general, from just like, hey, no strings attached, let's see what happens, go with the flow, take it very easy, very organic. It's like where you're capable of kind of moving towards, or even just allowing things to progress naturally, and what that could mean. It's so much deeper, it's so much more refined, there's so much more capacity to that than where this person's operating at currently. And so with that in mind, it feels like this is somebody that almost might, they see you, but I'm drawn to like these kind of like tangled trees and all of these cards here. They almost don't like see you clearly. They almost don't see beyond just kind of the surface of you. And so it feels to be something that, yeah, there's like a curiosity, or sort of like an attraction. But for you, what that means, like the levels that that gets into, or if it were acted upon, what that would activate within, it's a lot deeper than them, than what they're capable of, what they could give. This would almost be the type of person, it feels like, if you were to have an experience with them, like they'd sleep with you and then ghost you. And that's kind of just where they're at. That's their comfort zone. Or they may be somebody that gets into like talking stages and then they ghost people. Because there's a wall within them, emotionally speaking. To where it feels like it's best to define this as like limerence. But this also might be somebody that you could have the potential, it almost feels like a potential to reconnect with this person further down the road. So this may be somebody that is just kind of like orbits sort of the outside layer of your life, and you've like caught sight of one another at this point. But this is somebody that needs to kind of like go through a process of like moving beyond bitterness, evolving in some kind of way, kind of like reaching the end of that chrysalis phase and themselves becoming like the butterfly that ejects itself from its own cocoon. And it might be that version of them that's able to kind of like be emotionally ready or available to perceive you properly. It's like this person's kind of like closed off in the heart space, but not like permanently. It almost feels like it's just kind of, they've shut themselves within some kind of heartbreak that may have happened even a while ago, or the nature, the circumstances of that may have been something that was very like wounding to the ego, and so they kind of just like shut themselves away. They're not looking to date long term. They're not looking maybe to date at all. And so this could be the kind of person that if it gets into that territory of like feelings or any kind of intensity, then they just sort of push it away, or they run, or they disappear. But this almost feels like somebody that is not just kind of locked into that as a reality. So it's maybe something that is just kind of like you've caught sight of one another, but they're not yet at that place within themselves of having like moved sufficiently beyond like a past disappointment or a reaction within to past disappointments to be able to even crush on you in the same way that you're either crushing on them currently or are capable of that developing into. So let's get a few more cards and see what else you need to know about this. Okay, so we got discrimination and fear. Yeah, so this person, it feels like, is kind of looking at the idea of love, partnership, exchanging with other people. They're looking at that from a very fear-based lens. They're like, they don't want to answer to anyone. They don't want to be tied down. They may be very bitter towards an ex still. There could be a lot of like hurt inside, and they've kind of just shut themselves away with that. And it feels like to even be able to kind of perceive you properly and the range of emotions or the threshold of emotions that you bring to the table, even if it would just start off very casually as like a talking phase, this is somebody that it feels like there's still more time that they need to kind of like decide, like, I don't want to live with that sort of bitterness again. Like, it feels like this is somebody that's not ready to like get back out there and date very seriously. At the most, this is somebody that's just capable of like one night stands or hooking up. Maybe not even that. This could be somebody that's just like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with love and romance. I'm done. This could be somebody that's got that attitude of like, they're done with love. They're just going to be alone forever. They're just kind of having a pity party. They're in that chrysalis inside of themselves. But this is also not a situation where it's kind of like it's your job or it's an invitation, like, oh, hold space for this person. They'll figure that out eventually and kind of get themselves out of that. But this is somebody that currently it feels like is operating in a place where it's not just you. It's kind of like in general, they are just not at a place where their heart is open to be able to have anything more than just kind of like at the most temporary, just sort of like immediate kind of like sexual gratification. But for a lot of people, this is going to be somebody that is just like, they don't want anything to do with any of that. They're like choosing celibacy. They're choosing to just be alone. They're choosing to just kind of like any sort of effort to kind of put themselves out there or, you know, talk to someone, get to know somebody, or something that just kind of happens. It feels like this wounding or this pain. This is somebody who's on like a timeline of self-sabotage, or just kind of like they push it away. They ghost people. They run. They cut things off without explanation. This may be somebody that has people that are very confused by their actions. They might have already had that, like ghosting phases with individuals. People where it's like, yeah, there was a potential, but then they always looked for like what was wrong rather than what was right. Like this person, it feels like at this time is almost like a walking red flag in and of themselves on that emotional level. Because this is somebody that can't like, they're either not over the past yet, not ready to potentially let new love in. They're scared of being hurt again. they just emotionally just haven't kind of put something behind them or put something to rest. And so there's a curiosity, there's a draw, there's kind of like surface level. They find you cute, they find you pretty, they find you handsome, they find you good looking. Maybe they think you're interesting, like if this person's like heard you speak, or you've had like surface level kind of chit chat interactions with them. They find you to be a pleasant person, but they're like shut off emotionally. They've closed themselves away inside of themselves. And so this feels almost like the kind of thing that it's like they got to finish walking that cycle of almost like getting sick and tired of being sick and tired inside of themselves in order to like chew their way out of that chrysalis. To kind of like push themselves into a timeline of like, okay, ready to date again, ready for something other than the experience that they keep having. Because it feels like even when they've ghosted people, when they've like run away, that hasn't made them feel good. It's not something where it's like, you know, hurt people and they feel very satisfied. It feels like it's something that's very like disappointing. So at this point, this feels almost like limerence, like it's more intense of a crush from your side. But this is definitely somebody that is not just kind of like not interested at all. They're just not in a place where they're able to kind of like have anything really meaningful with anybody. Like they've already ghosted people. They've already like disappointed or confused other people because they just can't, they can't almost allow themselves to sort of step past that like fear of heartbreak again, or like a bitterness that they hold within, like a negative attitude towards love. And it feels like that's something that operates as like a wedge in between them and like getting to know other people or dating or having like meaningful experiences with others, like at this point in their life. So let's take a look at some of their potential actions towards you. Like, are they going to be able to kind of get themselves out of this sort of chrysalis that they're in, put this kind of bitterness or hurt behind them? Or is this a circumstance where you should just kind of cut your losses and maybe set your sights elsewhere as far as potential connection? Okay, so we've got the Chariot, the King of Cups, and the Ten of Pentacles. So these energies are kind of speaking to me about like growth, maturation, evolution. Like this person needs to kind of like create some sort of resolution inside of themselves. Like, I can't keep living like this. I have sat with this bitterness long enough. And it's nothing that it feels like will be prompted by kind of like, I gotta work beyond this so I don't miss the opportunity with you. This is like a journey that this person's been on. This King of Cups kind of speaks to that they've been in this energy for a while. It may be something that's kind of wearing on their own patience. They kind of got this inner battle going on, it feels like, but they're stuck. Like they're stuck in place at this particular point in time. So this Ten of Pentacles, it does speak to kind of like future potentials. This may be somebody where in the immediate moment, they're not taking action. It's something that it's just kind of like, okay, they're cute, they're handsome, they're pretty, they're good looking, they're interesting. And, you know, you then kind of like plug up that emotional energy within, resist the urge to kind of just like, well, maybe they'll do something, maybe they'll say something, maybe I'll be the person that kind of like motivates them to sort of, you know, get out of that stuck sort of energy within. Like if you set your sights towards, okay, you know, closed doors that don't open when I knock, that's not a room I'm meant to enter. If you embody that kind of philosophy, set your sights elsewhere, you might meet someone who is not in this same energy, but it might also be the kind of thing that just sort of keeps you moving along your timeline. And it's possible that like further down the road, something is possible of developing between you and this person. But it almost feels like at this point in time, the most they would be capable of, if you were to like approach, if you were to kind of like, okay, well, let me sort of insert myself more into their life or be more persistent, the best that you could hope for is kind of that it might be, hey, we had some good conversations, or, you know, we went out and had coffee and then they just never returned my calls. Then they ghosted. It feels like that. And it's not just you. It's kind of like that's what they're capable of at this point in time. So it might be the kind of thing of like you put them on the back burner. Kind of like, I'll check in with you later, or trusting that, you know, if this person's able to successfully kind of like get themselves out of this chrysalis, out of this bitterness, out of this kind of just like maybe even like a lot of negativity towards their ex, towards other situations, things like that. Like if they're able to kind of work themselves out of that, push themselves out of this cycle, then it feels like something that there might be possibility for something more to develop between the two of you. So I'd say don't put all your eggs in the basket of this person. Because where they're at, like real time, like right now, this is somebody that they don't have that emotional bandwidth to be able to, it feels like, give you a very satisfying relationship. It's the kind of thing that would just be disappointing. You'd be confused and disappointed if they were to take any steps towards you, or it feels like you'd have to be the one to like break the ice, take the step towards them. But that's not all they're capable of. This is somebody that's like coming out of like a very long cycle. Something that they've been sitting in that kind of like bitter energy for a while, and it's wearing on their patience as well. So this might be the kind of thing where, again, it's just sort of like admire them, but don't get too much up in the feelings, because this person is like, they're shut down emotionally, maybe even just kind of closed off temporarily on an emotional level. Like the time's not right for this person. Like they are not letting themselves put themselves out there really, or receive anybody that kind of brings something to their table that could offer a different experience. Like they're very accustomed to that bitterness, or they're just sitting with that. They're stewing in their own juices at this particular point in time. But it feels like with that energy of the Chariot, this may be something that, again, they're kind of like, and the King of Cups, they're reaching the point of like, I can't keep living like this. And so it's the version of them that kind of pops out of that stuck energy, out of that stale energy. That may be somebody, you know, further down the road, a little bit further in the future. If you're still available, if you're still single, if there's somebody that's like still in your environment, still in your proximity in some sort of way, that they've kind of like turned the page in their own life and in a certain capacity, that there may be more possibility for this person to see you accurately, to see you as somebody like, hey, there's attraction, there's interest, I find this person, you know, pleasing. I'm ready to step forth and invite new experiences emotionally or romantically in. And that may be the time where, you know, there's the possibility of something that wouldn't just be a waste of time or a disappointment that could happen between the two of you. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got R, U, E, W, G, V, Y, X, B, L, and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.